قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإن كنتم في ريب مما نزلنا على عبدنا فأتوا بسورة من مثله وادعوا شهداءكم من دون الله إن كنتم صادقين صدق الله العلي العظيم. First and foremost, we send our deepest of condolences to the Imam of our time, Imam al-Mahdi al-Muntadhar, Ajalallahu Ta'ala Farajah al-Sharif, our great Maraja, our scholars, yourselves and your families, on the martyrdom of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi afdal salati was-salam. Over the past few nights, we spoke about the importance of gaining knowledge, and we spoke about the historical events that happened that make us understand the position that we are in today in a much better light, and potentially understand our future in a better manner. Today, we are going to move on to a different type of topic. Today, I want to speak to you about the Quran. Tonight is the night of Qadr. Tonight is the first night of Qadr. When you read in the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin. What did He reveal on the night of Qadr? What is it that was brought down on the night of Qadr? It is within the consensus of all Muslims that the thing that was brought down on the night of Qadr is the Quran. Through this blessing that this night has received, that the entirety of the Quran was revealed in it, Allah Azza wa Jal continued to say, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. And what do you know about Laylatul Qadr? Laylatul Qadr خَيْرٌ مِنْ أَلْفِ. Laylatul Qadr is better than 1,000 months. And then it describes the events that take place on this night, including the descending of angels. So the Quran itself was given that importance, and it increased in importance by being revealed on this night. However, it becomes very different to the other miracles that was brought down by other prophets. For example, Nabi Allah Musa also had a book, but that book was never claimed for it to be a miracle. Nabi Allah Isa also had a book, but it never claimed to be a miracle. The only book that claimed to be a miracle was which one? The Quran. Not only that, Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, in the verse that we started with, that if you have any doubts about this Quran, then bring a surah of its like. And this is why the very first thing that we need to understand is what is a miracle. Why were different miracles brought at different times? And then lastly, we will look at the Quran, the everlasting miracle, and bring an example to prove that, inshallah. And we shall do that with your permission and with the blessings of a loud salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. What is a miracle? A miracle, otherwise in the Arabic language known as a mu'jizah. It comes from the root verb that is made of 3 letters, Ain, Jim and Zai. These 3 letters, ajz, is a word that comes to mean when someone is not able to do something. Now you might tell me a miracle is the opposite to that. A miracle is when someone is able to do something. The mu'jizah is because it is upon the other side, and it is the other side that can then not respond to the miracle. This is what a miracle is. A miracle is an extraordinary event that does not follow the laws of nature. And it comes with 2 prerequisites. The first prerequisite is that it matches the da'wah, it matches what the Prophet is calling for. And number 2, it comes with a tahaddi. It comes in a way where the miracle is there. Can we lower the reverb, please, or whatever this echo is? It comes in a way where this miracle is there to say to the other person that this is what I am giving and you cannot respond to me. There is no response to it. This, in summary, is what a miracle is. So if we were to apply that, we will understand that the only way for an individual to prove his prophethood is through bringing forward a miracle. And we will talk about the concept of prophethood very soon, inshallah. And we'll talk about it from an aqaidi perspective. However, when you look at some of our older scholars, how did they talk about, for example, the proving of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam? This is how Allama al-Hilli proves it. Are you ready? Just so we understand the importance of miracles. Allama al-Hilli proves it in this way. He says, Muhammad claimed to be a prophet. وَظَهَرَتْ عَلَى يَدِهِ الْمُعْجِزَةِ. And a miracle came by his hand. Therefore, he is a prophet. This is how you prove prophethood. Today, anyone can come to me and tell me I am a prophet. But that prophethood can only be divine. It can only be from God if you can prove to me that you have something from God. So you will bring something extraordinary, something supernatural, something that goes against the laws of nature to prove that. Which is why, when you look at the story of Musaylam al-Kadhdhab, Musaylam the liar, he claimed prophethood, by the way, during the time of our beloved prophets. And after our prophet, he continued claiming his prophethood. What did I say the two prerequisites of miracles are? Number one, it has to match the da'wah that you are making. And number two, it must be what? A tahaddi. A place in which you are saying, this is what I have, come and show me what you have. The very first one, which is the matching of the da'wah, if it is not there, the miracle cannot be proven. Which is what? Musaylam al-Kadhdhab comes. He says to them, I am a prophet. They tell him, prove so. He says, watch. You see this well that is empty of water? Say yes. So that I will spit in it and you will see it to be filled with water. Question. If he spat in it and it was filled with water, what would that make him? We will say he claimed prophethood, a miracle came at his hand, therefore he is a prophet. So he came, he spat in that well, the little water that was left dried up. So they knew that Musaylama was not a prophet. On the other hand, Nabi Allah Musa, alayhi wa ala nabina wa alihi afdalu salati wa salam, comes at a time when magicians were known. Magic was something that was amongst the people, a regular practice amongst the people. So Musa comes and he says to them, I am a prophet. He has to bring a what? Miracle that matches his da'wah, matches the era that he is in. And therefore he comes and you see that the stick turns into a snake, he splits the Red Sea, all of these things, the water turning red, except the river turning red, all of these things that what? That caused the magicians to say, yeah, this is not from our magic. This is something that we cannot do. It is a miracle that matches what? His da'wah. It is that which matches what he is calling towards. Isa alayhi wa ala nabina wa alihi afdalu salati wa salam also comes. And he says, I am a prophet. What does a prophet need to do? Bring a miracle. The miracle has to what? Match the da'wah. What was known during the time of Isa? Medicine, healing. So what do you see Isa doing? Here he heals the blind, here he cures the leopard, here he brings the dead back to life. Correct? So these are miracles that are matching his da'wah. Nabiyuna Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam comes in Arabia at a time when eloquency was of high status, which is why of the things that Imam Zain al-Abidin said that he is proud of in front of the others, of the things that they were given, of them is fasaha, eloquency. Eloquency is something that was known. Saja' is something that was known. Saja', the meaning of saja' is when you have not specific rhymes, but you know when you have multiple sentences that match as you speak, that is called sajah. It doesn't necessarily have to rhyme. These were things that were known, and therefore the Prophet comes with his miracle, and that miracle was none other than the Quran. Of course, our beloved Prophet had other miracles, and I urge all my believing brothers and sisters, uncles and aunties to go back home and search about the miracles of the Prophet, because I can say that I am almost certain that maybe maximum we can list maybe 3 of the miracles the Prophet did. However, let me tell you, they are at least 12. So therefore, I am going to refrain from mentioning more of them in the hopes that you will have the urge to go back and search and see what kind of miracles appeared at the hands of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. So, miracles would come at his hand, and of them was the Quran. Now, first of all, we need to make one distinction. What is the difference between a miracle and between magic? Because magic can also be what? Supernatural. I mean, I can see a magic trick and I might believe it to be a miracle. Which is why of the claims that Quraysh made against our beloved Prophet, what did they say? That he is but a sahirun mubin. He is a good magician. That is the claim they made. So how do I differentiate between magicians and between prophets? First of all, usually a magician does not claim prophethood or claim divine guidance, whereas a prophet usually claims divine guidance. That's number one. Number two, magic is not broad in the way that miracles are. Meaning, magic is specific to certain styles or certain types, either through fast movement or through tricking the eye in believing something that it didn't see. Whereas a miracle is broad in its nature. I just mentioned to you, it went from bringing the dead back to life, to healing the blind, to splitting the Red Sea, to a stick turning into a snake, and to the Quran being revealed. Do you see how broad miracles then become? That broad nature is not found in magic. Number three, the divine intervention becomes different. Because magic, there is no divine intervention. Whereas with miracles, there is divine intervention. And these simple aspects differentiate a miracle from a magic trick, if you like. Now I come forward and we need to move to understand these miracles and why were those miracles chosen for these individuals. Sayyid al-Khoi, may Allah bless his soul, he has an amazing argument on the idea of miracles and how they prove the longevity of the religions that they came for. Or the Sharia, the religion, by the way. Let us just make a very quick point. The religion is one. إِنَّمَا الدِّينُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ الْإِسْلَامِ. The religion is how many? One. These namings, Christianity, Judaism, these namings, they came later. They were so that individuals are able to distinguish from one and another. Whereas, all of the prophets would claim to be Muslim, as is said to us in the Quran. In the sense that they claim to be submissive to Allah Azza wa Jal. This is the meaning of Islam. The religion is one. The difference comes where? The difference comes in the Sharia. Each one had a set of laws that it had to follow. Now, each miracle came to prove that that specific prophet came with those set of laws to those individuals. Sayyid al-Khoi makes the comment here. He says what proves the short nature of those sharia is the short nature of those miracles. I want you to focus with me for 1 second. This is a beautiful point that he makes. He says when Nabi Allah Musa comes and turns a stick into a snake, it is amazing. But usually how would you hear about it? Through khabar mutawatir, people would constantly say, oh, by the way, did you know Nabi Musa turned a stick into a snake? Their kid will say, did you know that there is a possibility that within 100, 200 years, this story will be what? Forgotten. The fact that this has a short nature, that only those who saw it were able to believe in it, means that it was needed for a short while. Apply the same argument to Nabi Allah Isa. Now, when Allah comes and He says, I am sending to you my final prophets, who everyone until the end of time has to believe in, is it fair for Allah to say, you, the one sitting in front of me, have to believe in Muhammad, when all you know is that he is a prophet but he hasn't given you a miracle? What did we just say? We said, how do we prove prophethood? They have to bring a miracle, right? They claim prophethood and they bring a miracle. Why do you believe in the prophet? Why do you believe in the prophet of Islam? The prophet has to bring you a miracle. So therefore, what I must do if this is the final religion that I want everyone to believe in until the end of time is to give them a miracle that matches the da'wah that the prophet came with. Do we understand this concept of the miraculous nature of the Quran? Therefore, Allah revealed the Quran. Imagine you read about all of those miracles that happened in the past. Those of Moses, and those of Jesus, and those of Abraham, and those, and those, and those. And between your hands you have the greatest of miracles that was sent to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. I ask you a question of reflection, and this is the night of Qadr. A question of reflection. I want you to reflect on this. How many times did you think between you and yourself, it would have been amazing if I saw Moses split the Red Sea? It would have been amazing if I saw Jesus bring the dead back to life. It would have been amazing if I saw Abraham coming out of the fire untouched, unharmed. Has this thought not crossed your mind? Any of those thoughts never crossed your mind? Allah has given you the miracle of the Quran right between our hands. Unfortunately, it's collecting dust in our bookshelves. And this is a reality. The greatest of miracles that Allah has given us, we've put to the side. We're worried about those other types of miracles. When this miracle was supposed to be in an everlasting nature. Why? Because this religion was supposed to be till the end of time. So that today when you and I come to believe in Prophet Muhammad, and I come and I see Muhammad claimed prophethood, what do I need? I need a miracle. Where's your miracle? He says, here, this is the Quran, this is your miracle. You read it, you understand, you know, you believe. This is the longevity of the miracle of the Quran. The Quran is a miracle that extends till the end of time, and such was its claim. The Quran, not only that, it is that which then through it would prove the miracles of prophets that came before. Without the Quran, I can't prove to you Jesus, I can't prove to you Moses, I can't prove to you Adam, I can't prove to you anything. Without the Quran, I can't prove any of that. Moses split the Red Sea based on what? Without the Quran, I cannot prove that to you. So it came in two forms. In the form of saying, this is what I have, and in the form of conveying of what has come before. Which is why, if you look, for example, in the Quran, in regards to Nabi Allah Isa, Jesus, alayhi wa ala nabina wa alihi afdalu salati wa salam, he comes and he says that of the things that I want to do, is musaddiqan. I want you to believe and bring the truth to that which came before me. Then what else? وَمُبَشِّرًا بِرَسُولٍ يَأْتِي مِنْ بَعْدِ اسْمُهُ Ahmed. He had two roles. One is to prove what came before him. Two is to give glad tidings about a prophet that will come after him by the name of Ahmed. This was the role of Nabi Allah Isa. The Quran came and said, you know what? This is the role. The thing is, I don't have glad tidings to give you of future prophets. No, this is your final prophet, and those that came before, we are there to tell you. The Torah we sent, the Injil we sent, the Zabur we sent, Muhammad we sent, Isa we sent, Musa we sent, Noah we sent, Adam we sent, all of that we sent. How do I know? Through the Quran. How can I now prove this idea that the Quran in itself had that miraculous nature? I will bring for you in the short time that I have left an example for us to understand with the surah that we start with, this verse that we started with. He says that if you have a doubt, in kuntum fi raybin, if you have a doubt about this book that I have in front of you, then what? فَأْتُوا بِسُورَةٍ مِّن مِثْلِهِ. Bring a surah of its like. Not min mithlihi means what? A like is not the same. Even if you bring me something close, I will take it. Here, let us understand something first. How many surah does the Quran have? 114. They are all called what? Surah. What does surah come from? Surah comes from the word sur. Sur, imagine, cities back in the day used to have a sur. They used to call it Sur al-Madinah. What was Sur al-Madinah? It was the first line of defense. The Quran came as the first line of defense. Each chapter in the Quran, those 114 chapters, are the first line of defense of religion. They are like the sur of the religion. The first line of defense. This is number one. The Quran says what? Bring a surah of its like. Now I ask you a question. If I bring a challenge forward to you, and by the way, you can all go and search, this challenge till today, 1400 years it's been, no one has been able to do any of its like. But I'm going to show to you why that is the case. You come to the surah, yes? This surah that you have to bring of its like, you have 114 to choose from. Which surah would you choose? Genuinely think to yourself. Which surah of the 114 would you choose? Would you go for Surah Al-Baqarah? No way. What would you go for? Kawthar? Why? Shortest? Why is Surah Al-Kawthar the shortest, by the way? Because it's got 3 ayat. Surah Al-Asr also has 3 ayat. Why is it shorter? Surah Al-Kawthar is still shorter. Don't worry. Surah Al-Asr has 3 ayat. Surah Al-Kawthar has 3 ayat. But look at the beauty of Surah Al-Kawthar. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. How many have I got so far? 4. Inna a'tainaka al-Kawthar. Fasalli li rabbika wanhar. How many? 10. Inna shani'aka huwa al-abtar. How many? 14. In that there is a reason for those who understand what Surah Al-Kawthar is about. That's for you to make that conclusion. The shortest surah, made of 14 words only. 14 words only. Surah Al-Kawthar. So if I want to come and want to match that challenge, what do? I go to the shortest surah. Guess what? No one can bring me something similar to the shortest surah. Why? The Quran, I'm going to prove to you through Surah Al-Kawthar. Inshallah, maybe one day we'll have a tafsir on Surah Al-Kawthar. I would love to do that. But I'm going to prove a few points from Surah Al-Kawthar that show this miraculous nature of the Quran. The first is the consistency of the Quran. You might tell me, what does Surah Al-Kawthar have to do with that? 2 things. Number 1, what does Surah Al-Kawthar start with? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Then, what's the first word? Inna. Inna, go back to the Quran. And you will find that every surah that starts with Inna is of great magnitude and is where Allah Azza wa Jalla wants to prove something of greatness. Simple example, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. Inna fatahna laka fathan mubina. Everything of great nature starts with what? Inna. So Allah came and said, Inna a'tainaka Kawthar. And we know Kawthar, regardless of tafsir, is something great, of great abundance. This is number 1. Number 2, the consistency I'm talking about. This is the first point of consistency. Second point of consistency. The second verse of Surah Al-Kawthar is what? Go on. فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. First, Allah said inna. Inna is plural or singular? Plural, right? The second verse, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ. Plural or singular? Consistency of the Quran. Go back to the Quran, and this is an exercise for all of you to do. Realize wherever Allah Azza wa Jal refers to Himself in the plural form, the next verse will talk about Himself in the singular form. Just in case someone wants to come and say, Allah Azza wa Jal is using plural, therefore He is more than one. And through it you can prove Trinity, and through it you can prove other things. Every time Allah uses plural, the next verse, very soon after, you will find that Allah Azza wa Jal goes back to the singular form in case someone has doubts. This is all talking about what? The consistency of the Quran. So this is point number one. Point number two, the precise selection of words of the Quran. This is all from what Surah Al-Kawthar we're talking. The precise selection of the Quran. Who can repeat the first verse for me? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna a'tainaka al-Kawthar. Why did He not say Inna a'tainaka al-Kawthar مثلا? Why did He not say Inna wahabnaka al-Kawthar? You know, Allah Azza wa Jal, a'tainak means to give. A'tainak means we brought. Wahabnak means we gifted you. You know, Kawthar we know to be Fatima to Zahra, right? Go look at all the other verses. Go look at all the other verses where Allah talks to their prophets and about their progeny. All of them is ihab. وَوَهَبْنَا لَهُ مِنْ رَحْمَتِنَا أَخَاهُ هَارُونَ نَبِيًّا. Example. وَوَهَبْنَا لَهُ يَحْيَى. And we gave him what? Gifted him who? Yahya. All of them talking about prophets and talking about family members. Always Allah uses what? وَهَبَ. Here, Allah said what? أعطى. What is the difference? Look at the precise nature of the Quran. If I say I gifted you something, it can come in one of two ways. Either because you needed it, or because you wanted it. For example, there are those prophets who grew old in age and asked Allah Azza wa Jal to give them an offspring, so He gave them someone. So He said, وَوَهَبْنَا لَهُ. Musa wanted to face Harun, but he wanted someone to come with him, so he says, وَوَهَبْنَا لَهُ مِنْ رَحْمَتِنَا أَخَاهُ هَارُونَ نَبِيًّا. There was a need and there was a want, so he said what? وَهَبَ. Why did He not say آتَيْنَاك? آتَيْنَاك makes something feel like it's far, and it can also be taken away, because I brought you something. When I say what is closer, I brought or I give? What's closer? Brought or give? Give. Brought is further. Ataynak is far. Number one. Number two, it can apply to physical and non-physical things. وَآتَيْنَاهُ الْحُكْمَ صَبِيًّا. It can apply to physical and non-physical things. Number two, ataynak, when we talk about the word atayna, it is that which can be taken away. أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي آتَيْنَاهُ آيَاتِنَا فَانْسَلَخَ مِنْهَا. Did you see the one we brought our ayat towards, our verses towards, our signs towards? فَانْسَلَخَ مِنْهَا. So he went away from them. Meaning it is that which can be detached. Whereas when you talk about أَعْطَيْنَاكِ, it is what? Giving. Giving is something that is close. When I give, it is closer than bringing something. Secondly, if I'm saying something is close, it means I am showing the greatness of this Kawthar, because Allah is saying within close proximity, I am giving you something. إِنَّا أَعْطَيْنَاكَ Kawthar. Apply it to history. When was Fatima to Zahra born? After Isra and Mi'raj. What happened? He went to the seventh heaven and he was given a fruit, and from that fruit came Fatima. أَعْطَيْنَاكَ. Close. Close proximity. So, these by the way are only two examples I'm giving you from Surah Al-Kawthar. Only two examples. Other than those who are interested, go and read into the surah more, go and read into this tafsir more, and you will understand the miraculous nature of the Quran and why it is so difficult for people to match this great miracle of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. I wish I can talk about Surah Al-Kawthar more. As you can see, I get excited talking about this surah. It's a beautiful surah. The shortest surah in the Quran, and it is that which the true challenge was made from. And I just gave you two examples of two words. Literally, we only discussed two words. Inna and a'taynak, correct? Through inna and a'taynak, we were able to see the great miraculous nature of the Quran. Otherwise, there is a scholar that has a research into Surah Al-Kawthar that I'm not going to get into, but we can talk about later. In it he says, in those 14 words of Surah Al-Kawthar, Allah Azza wa Jal used every sentence structure present in the Arabic language. In 14 words. 14 words. Allah used every single sentence structure present in the Arabic language. That is why the Quran is a miracle. Therefore, do not be surprised when someone comes forward and says to you, the Quran is not to be understood by anyone. We mentioned on the Imam Hassan night that Imam Al-Hassan alayhi afdalu salatu wasalam says the one who says something about the Quran and they were correct, then they are wrong. Because this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with precise wordings. We're dealing with precise positionings within the Quran. Which is why constantly you will find the ahadith and the Quran itself referring to the fact that no one would understand it except a certain few individuals that were chosen. لا يمسه إلا المطهرون. Only the purified ones will be able to have mess of it. Mess is not lems. Lems is to touch. Mess is to understand. Only the purified ones are the ones who will understand it. Who are the purified ones? إنما يريد الله يذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. This is proof that those individuals who are mentioned in this verse are the ones who understand it. Who are those individuals? These individuals are Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdal salatu wassalam. Which is why constantly there would be reminders that, by the way, in case you have forgotten, Aliyun ma'al Quran wal Quran ma'a, who is together? One is a silent Quran, one is a walking Quran, because they go hand in hand. In fact, mentioning Surah Al-Kawthar, Kawthar is Fatima to Zahra, right? Al-Kawthar is also Quran, right? Because Surah Al-Kawthar, and every surah is what? Quran. So Kawthar is what? Quran. Kawthar is Fatima to Zahra and her progeny. The pool on the day of judgment is called what? Kawthar. إني تارك فيكم ما أن تمسكتم به لن تضلوا بعدي أبدا كتاب الله وعترتي أهل بيتي. I am leaving behind two weighty things. Kawthar and Kawthar. The book of Allah and my progeny, the Ahlul Bayt. They will not separate until they meet by the pool of Kawthar. This is the miraculous nature that you must understand. Therefore, don't be surprised when we say Ali walking Quran, Ali is with the Quran, Ali is with the truth. They are one. They are one. They are inseparable until they meet at the pool of Kawthar. This is what we must understand about these individuals. And when we understand that, only then do we understand the great nature of their tragedies. I know it is difficult sometimes for individuals to connect with some of the tragedies other than the tragedies of Ashura. That is because we are muqassareen. I'm going to give you an example of Amir al-Mu'mineen and how he exemplified the walking Quran. Ibn Muljim May Allah withdraw His mercy from him, enters Kufa. He enters Kufa as a stranger. Guess where one of the first houses he goes to is? The house of Ali ibn Abi Talib. He says to him, I am a stranger in this land. He said, fine, what do you need? He said, I need some money and I need a sword. Ibn Muljam is talking to Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says, I need money and I need a sword. He said, that's fine, but can I ask you a few questions first? He said, of course. He said, they used to call your mother this in your childhood. Is this how you were raised, etc.? He asked him 3 questions, he answered them. When he answered them, he said, okay, thank you. This is your sword and this is your money. When he left, Amir al-Mu'mineen looked at his companion and said, by Allah, this is the one that the Prophet described to me, the one who will kill me. His companions got up. What did you say about him? We're going to kill him right now. He said, no, hold on a second. He hasn't committed it yet. Find me someone like Ali ibn Abi Talib in history. Find me an individual that exemplified the Quran in this manner. Hold up, he hasn't committed it yet. And even at Fajr prayer, Ibn Muljam is in the masjid, sleeping on his stomach, with his sword under his garment. Amir al-Mu'mineen wakes him up, he says, Salah, Salah, O servant of Allah. Salah, get up. And if you wish, I would have told you what is under your garments. Find me someone like Ali ibn Abi Talib. This is a man that, wallah, in similar hours to this, on these types of hours, he was in the house of his daughter Zainab. He had his meal, he had his iftar. He started looking into the sky. As he looks into the sky, he's looking at the positioning of the stars. He would say, by Allah, this is the night that Rasulullah told me about. Affinity. What a night this was for Amir al-Mu'mineen. He would look into the sky and he would say, this is by Allah, the night that Rasulullah told me about. And he would say, لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Then he would go and rest for a short while. When he rests, he sees Rasulullah in his dream. He says to him, Oh Ali, soon Ibn Muljam will come to you, and I miss you and I yearn for you, and I shall see you soon, inshaAllah. Amir al-Mu'mineen wakes up from that dream. He calls his family, he tells them of the dream that he just saw. They began to weep and cry until he ordered them to stay quiet. He would go out, recite Quran, perform istighfar. How far are we from this man, Amir al-Mu'mineen? Amir al-Mu'mineen, this individual spends this night in istighfar, asking Allah to forgive him. How much have we taken for granted, as if we've got everything sorted with the Almighty? Amir al-Mu'mineen goes out, he looks into the stars, ينظر إلى الكواكب وهو يقول والله ما كذبت ولا كذبت وهي الليلة التي وعدنيها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. Then he would say لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصلى الله على محمد النبي وأستغفر الله كثيرا عاجركم الله أسبغ وضوءه لبس ثيابه ثم خرج من الدار نحو مسجد الكوفة تعلق مئزره بباب الدار إلى أن سقط شده وقال اشدد حيازيمك للموت فإن الموت لاقيك ولا تجزع من الموت إذا حل بنا بناديك كما أضحكك الدار لما نسمع الحسن وحسين صاحوا يا زينب زيد الوني، والله ابوك الطبر والراس نصين، والله من والدك قطعين، لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا على محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون، والعاقبة للمتقين. على مود الوقت خذ الدعاء بعد الأطمية إن شاء الله. إذا الأخوة يقومون على حالهم تحضروا الأطمية. بارك الله بك. هاي الدموع اللي بعينك إن شاء الله. قوم بارك الله بك.